Out of local freight yards roll hobos from all parts of America, here to attend National Hobos Convention. If you've ridden rails 1,000 miles, you're more than welcome. Convention Hall is set for conclave of America's most prominent bums. Jeff Davis, famed king of hobos, presides over meetings which advocate 1 cent a mile train fares and outlawing of streamlined railroad cars which would have no rods. Davis greets eminent wanderer known as One-Eye Connolly, and no hobo convention is complete without appearance of General Jacob Coxey, colorful leader of Coxey's Army. He's guest of honor as hobos gather from afar to pay honor to themselves. America's first fan dancer convention.
The first annual convention of fan dancers will now come to order. The first matter we will consider is the disputed length of fans for the new season.
United States delegate from New York has the floor.
I believe the fans should be no more than 38 inches in length. I disagree with the delegate from New York. I believe the fans should be determined by the size of the girl.
And now for a look at the fad for fans, demonstrating the artistry of interpretation, the poetry of motion, and the reason for the epidemic of eye strain that swept the country.
Dawn in Dearborn, Michigan. And historic triad balloon altitude record is to be made by Jeanette and Auguste Picard. It's October 1934, and Henry Ford is among watchers as the balloon ascends. Auguste Picard in 1931 had risen to a height of 52,462 feet. In 1932, he set a new record of 10 4/10 miles. But this attempt ended in failure, as the balloon lost buoyancy after rising 10 miles. The Picards unhurt, the record unbroken.
Here at Detroit, Michigan, in the early 1930s, first United States-approved pontoon glider goes through historic maneuvers of its maiden flight. Towed by motorboat, glider bounces dangerously on choppy Michigan waters, and pilot might be in trouble. But after doubtful start, glider gets off water at last and is lifted sharply into the air. And there's no doubt at all as to whether or not this glider for beginners is a success or a failure. It shows proof that it deserves government approval, and from here on in, trains glider pilots.
Here are sensational, on-the-spot pictures of one of the worst tragedies in East Coast history, the Morro Castle disaster. It's September 6, 1934, and sudden fire in the portside writing room of the ship traps the 318 passengers and 231 crew members, many of whom fling themselves overboard to escape from the heat which makes an inferno of the Morro Castle. Although the Jersey shore is less than 6 miles away, 137 lives are lost before rescue ships reach the Morro Castle. White hot from the searing flames, the ship is a death trap, a horrifying spectacle seen by anxious friends and relatives who line the Asbury Park boardwalk waiting for news of survivors. A cry from the crowd, and Coast Guardsmen brave the surf to rescue a woman who swims to shore from the burning vessel. Eager hands help her the last few feet to safety. As the watchers pay silent tribute to the heroism and determination of the valiant swimmer, and as she is borne swiftly to a hospital, the Morro Castle is still aflame, but rescue ships have already begun to arrive. The Monarch of Bermuda steams into New York Harbor, bringing the 75 survivors its crew members succeeded in saving. The Monarch skipper, Captain Francis, who directed the rescue work, which delivered many of the Morro Castle crew to shore. A crew member tells his story.
We looked over the side of the rail, and we saw the middle part of the ship was entirely in flames, and believe me, there were some flames. And they start shooting back towards us, and we all had to get to the back of the boat. And the smoke was coming up on us, and the flames were about 15 feet within us. Well, we were standing there for 3 hours before any help came in sight. We're only about 5 miles offshore, and the smoke was choking us so that everybody wanted to jump overboard. We were just about getting ready to die, I guess.
Another rescue vessel, the Andrea F. Luckenbach, arrives with more Morro Castle survivors. The Luckenbach, under Captain Henry Hill, arrived early at the scene of the tragedy. Included among the many it saved from the sea is Mrs. Dorothy Call, who fights off exhaustion long enough to wave to a friend. Scenes like this take place as each survivor is brought to safety. But to many watchers, the vigil is in vain, as their loved ones become victims of the 1934 Morro Castle disaster, when death rode a luxury liner.
Here in early 1930s, pilots of England's Royal Air Force thrill 150,000 Britons as they master the perils of precision flying. Flights look as if they'll crash into each other, but groups are actually flying over and under each other at different levels. There's possibility of disaster in sudden appearance of air pockets, though. And here's something that was truly daring in early 1930s. For here are 6 airmen dropping from Air Force transports in what was then considered mass parachute jumping. In war still years away, hundreds of paratroopers were to drop from skies over enemy territory in truly mass maneuvers in the air. But this was great accomplishment and spectacle then. Veterans of small but dramatic roles in World War I show their daring as they stunt planes only a few feet off ground. Here's art of hedge hopping with true artist at controls. In slow-flying planes of early 1930s, this was dangerous enough. But can you imagine any modern jet pilot taking these dips and turns in so small a space? Even at half speed, later planes would zoom out of sight before pilot could make his turn. It's January 1932. And in Miami, Florida, airmen of United States Army, Navy, and Marine Corps put on gigantic performance under clouds of southern skies. Biggest airship at show is Akron, which thrills crowd with mid-air launching of planes. Here's one of them leaving now, as the Akron plays airport in the air. Here's stunting a la mountain climbing. These 3 planes are tied together as they loop and roll across the Florida field. One slip up here and all 3 planes will crash. That was precision flying with happy landings ahead. Mass parachute jumping is something fairly new in 1932. But spectators at Miami Air Show see 10 jumpers hit the silk and come floating down to earth without a hitch. More than 160 pilots fly in show, and here are fighters in simulated battle. And here are bombers taking dead aim at their target. Now watch this carefully. One plane is out of control. Pilot gets his ship away from crowd before he jumps. Plane crashes, but no one's hurt. The little guy with the big family is Little Caesar, Edward G. Robinson himself, as he looked in the early 1930s. He'll show them all right. You get it, kids? Now do you get it? Oh, look, kids, it's right there. Well, show them, Eddie. At Malibu Beach in the early 1930s, here's B.G. DeSilva, songwriter and motion picture producer. With him are the other 2 members of the tune-making team of DeSilva, Brown, and Henderson. Chief among their triumphs was score for the motion picture Sunny Side Up. Remember?
Brune, Texas Guinan, and Frank Gilmore get together in the early 30s on Brune's proposal to have actors share profits of Broadway musical Shoot the Works.
says Texas.
Hayward, there's so many people who love you, and so many actors whose success you're responsible for. But I know your show is really going to be a great big hit. And there's one thing that I must say about France. They never see an actor in France with a big head. You know why? They cut it right off.
Brune, Guinan, and Gilmore, greats of an era.
Still 1932, Jersey City, New Jersey. The track's fast, and so are those gals. In the lead is Stella Walsh, loser in 2 events today. But this one's different.
I'm very happy to have won the final of this 220-yard race. It was very tough going, but came through all right. Had some hard luck today, too. It's just been my off night, that's all.
The 80-meter hurdle with America's leading women athletes in competition for the AAU championships. The winner, Mildred Babe Dietrichson.
I'm certainly glad that I won this race, and they said I broke a new world record from 12 flat, which is, hold it off there. I'm certainly glad to have won it, and glad to be here in New Jersey.
To the early 1930s, Seems ermine wasn't enough to keep you warm those days. This ermine piece sports cuffs of silver fox that form a muff. Over her gown of transparent velvet, this model shows off an opera cape of eastern mink, then takes off cape to display dress with low V back and high rounded neckline. This young lady can't have anything up her sleeves this evening. This lovely rises to shine in cape of silver fox, and is followed by another fur-bedecked lovely, this one wearing ermine again, with white fox trim. For afternoon wear, the trend is to swagger sport coats. This Laskin lamb has puffed sleeves. Front and center for this creation with bow at the neck. And notice here that plaid of scarf and coat lining match. Yes, in the early 1930s, these were the latest things in furs.